list, and I'm going to send you a link later. So if there's anything we talk about, you can watch it. It'll be on YouTube. I send this to guys so they can, if you want to listen to it on your drive home and whatever, reference material, you always got it. All right, so let's look at your TVA. Overall, you're high on your food, right? So what I want to do is,
that is correct.
Back historically. So your theoretical seems to stick around a 29, right? And the reason I want to look backwards is I want to make sure our non-recipe cost, so 29 to 31 and a half. So that's not a big swing based on the sales. You don't swing that much, 20, yeah, 29. So you don't have a huge swing in sales. You seem to be pretty consistent.
Yep.
Within about $2,000. The reason why we do that, so here's a couple things with TVA. So I'll give you my whole rope. The TVA, there are some people that don't manage non-recipe costs well. And non-recipe costs it doesn't hurt you, it helps you, if anything. So your theoretical is your non-recipe plus your recipe cost, okay? So if this were 0, your theoretical would be a 25.98, and there's no way you're hitting that, right?
That would be true. That'd be tough.
So what I always look for is I look for, the first thing I look at is where your theoretical is where your actual is at, and are you usually about the same? Are you usually a 4 to a 3, or are you usually running 29 to a 30, maybe 31 at the highest? So we look for some consistencies to try and map out where we're going to go. Your non-recipe always seems pretty consistent. These are all the products that are not used in, they're not, how do I say they're not used in recipes? We've either taken them out of recipes or we've made them so they don't, there's no variance, because you can't manage flour, right? I mean, all you can manage is bag. You can manage it by the bag and don't spill it on my floor. So real quick, your TVA, because I've had this conversation recently. This is not a variance number, okay? Some people look at this actual number as a variance. It's not. All that is that's the actual dollar amount that you used. So what it's saying is if you had $1,000 of flour last Monday, you bought $500 worth of flour this week. On Monday, when you counted, you had $1,283 on hand. Well, that $1,000 plus the $500 minus the $1,283 is this right there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
1,283. So, no, I'm sorry. 1,183. Math's got to be right. So what that's saying is that's the actual amount used. So you used $116 worth of oil last week. You used $65 worth of ketchup. Not you're missing it. That's just what you used, what you spent on it versus inventory. So that looks pretty good. You don't have any crazy growths. You don't have crazy losses. That might be a little high for flour. Maybe they can sift a little bit. But it doesn't go up and down, so I'd say you're pretty good. So let's dive into TVA. Was there anything that you saw that stuck out to you?
Well, what I saw that stuck out to me, obviously, I mean, there's some of our normal misses, got queso suave and as such. But what really stuck out is chicken breast stuck out because normally if we're missing chicken, it's chicken tenders or chicken wings.
Yeah.
And fries really stood out as well. And upon digging into it, what I really noticed was when I actually clicked on pub fries, and I saw the items that it was pulling from, I noticed that there were some kids menu items that were missing from the list. It didn't have kids sliders. It didn't have kids tenders. But when I go under the tender rest, not kid tender, kid tenders and kid sliders, I go under the tenders, I can see it's pulling from the poultry because it's in there. But I'm not seeing the fries. And there's also a category called kid fries for just a kid-sized fries that we don't even have a POS button for. But somehow it shows that we sold, I want to say it was like 40-something of those kid fries. I don't know where that comes from.
Actually, you were the one that sent an email about this earlier this week, right?
Yeah, it was actually my assistant Akeem sent it in.
Okay, so I sent an email back. I fixed all that for you, and I'll walk you through some of that. So let's go over to your IVA. Just for peace of mind, you'll see that is in there now, and I'll walk you through what it was. So you're missing 14 bags last week, and it's 6 bags per case. So you're missing two and a third cases, which really isn't super high. It's high for your volume, but we do see that. So let's find. I know Kid Quesadilla was one. So boom, you'll see right there. So that's been added in. Kid Tenders added in. And Kid Side Fries, 4 ounce.
Yeah, that's what confuses me, is because I don't know, we don't have a button for a kid's fry. Is that just how many times? They wouldn't be subbing fries on a kid thing anyway, because it comes with fries.
No,
so that's where I'm confused.
Here,
43 of them.
Let me clear that up for you. So these right here. Let me get my little pointer here. So these items right here, that is the name of the recipe in Decision Logic. So if you look at your point of sale, those buttons you only have, I don't know, 20, 30 characters. I think it's maybe 42 characters you could put in. So the buttons in Aloha don't always match the name of the recipe, right?
Okay.
It might just say side of fries or fire fries or hangover burgers. So they might match. There are some that don't because it's not always the same person that makes the button in Aloha that makes the recipe in DL. I'm pretty much the only one that touches DL. So over the last year, you've probably seen some consistency in the way things are named or done. But I don't really work in Aloha, and I definitely don't make the food stuff. So there might be some differences. I might use dashes when somebody just used spaces. So we'll walk through that. You'll notice here, so a bag of French fries is 80 ounces, just because we're digging into this. So there's a shrink built in, I think, of 25-30% of pub fries. So you'll notice a bag of fries is 80 ounces, right? 30.
Yeah.
But you'll see it's 1.33 bags. So one bag can equal 1.33. If you times that by the growth, you'll see that actually works itself out. So that's why these numbers are a little different, because when you serve it, we shrink it down. So if I said you've got an 80-ounce bag, 5 pounds of fries, and then I go to cook it, it doesn't turn out to be 5 pounds. It turns out 25% less. Well, I can't tell you to serve how many 5-ounce portions you're going to get, because it'll never be right. So we put some shrink in there. So if you ever look at that and you see a discrepancy, that's why. Now we'll jump back. Let me go to... let's go over to recipe book. So kid side fries. So this button right here, the way recipe book works is I have prep recipes and menu recipes. All right. So if I look at kid French fry, all right, it uses the raw ingredient of pub fries, and I use 4 ounces, and I get 1 portion. So 4 ounces is 1 portion. So then what I do is I take, everything's kind of nested within each other. So now I have kid quesadillas, right? An old picture. So I've got the tortilla, I've got the oil, I've got the cheese, got shredded cheese, and now you see I've got kid French fry. I got 1. Well, we know that 1 equals 4 ounces. Okay, so it's kind of nested in there. So we'll find out where Kid French fries comes in. I gotta kind of bounce for a sec. Let's see. So, I might have to find out where this comes from. So we're gonna look for Kid Side Fries, and it is button 1442. Alright, we're going to jump into Aloha just so you can, when people like yourself ask questions and they want to dig in and dive in, I like to show you guys exactly where things come from so you don't, I'm not just telling you a bunch of stuff and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. So while we load this up, okay, so while that's loading, let's jump back in here. Oh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find what button that goes to, and so you'll know exactly what Kid Side Fries is. All right?
Okay.
Hold on. I got Don Koski blowing me up. Hold on one sec.
All right.
All right, Charles, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry, we have a food and beverage innovation meeting at 10 o'clock, so they were trying to give me some info before then. All right. So let's find out where this button comes from. So this is the inside of Aloha, the fun, boring side. So we're looking for, you said it was 1442. So in Aloha and a DL, everything's tied together by PLU numbers or by numbers instead of names. Numbers are much better than words. I'm trying to tell my wife that, she tells me I'm an idiot. Okay, so you have a button somewhere in your screen called Kid Fries.
I have honestly never seen it. Is there any way to look and see what sub menu it's under so I can know where to find it? Because I tried looking under kids food stuff the other day and I couldn't find it.
Let me, you guys are actually on a different database. Let's see.
I checked under the kiddos sub menu and I checked under the sides and I didn't see anything besides our normal regular fire fry. I didn't see anything else, and that was only under sides.
Trying to remember if give me one sec. Charles, let me grab the password for your database. I'll be right back.
All right.
All right, Charles, I'm back.
All right.
All right, La Cima TP. Sorry about that.
All good.
There's 9 million passwords out there for all our logins and systems. Takes a minute. I actually had to go grab it from Kevin. I couldn't remember to save my life. All right. So let's find where this Kid Fries button lives. There you are. Okay, so Roman. Okay, so you don't have any random food screens that people don't have. So that means it's under, if you have it, everybody has it.
Okay.
So the way this works is there's a primary, which means everybody has it. And so everybody on the SEMA side has this button. And sorry, I can't zoom in, unfortunately.
It's all good.
There's actually, we were all very excited, as nerdy as it is. There's a new version of this out where the buttons are bigger. All us, we're all like, oh, I can finally see stuff. All right. All right, so let's do this. So if I try and delete that now, it'll freak out and it'll tell me, oh, you can't do it. And it'll tell me why, because it's where exactly it is. So 1442. Delete. Okay, so it's a modifier somewhere. So what I think it is when you order kids sides, they have an option of fries or veggies. And that's what it is.
The kids default comes with fries.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't by default it when it just come out of the recipe as fries unless they sub veggies, because when they ring in veggies it says sub veggies.
So let's see. Give me one sec. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Okay. There we go. All right. So now, because that would make. I mean, that's half a case of fries for you. Just last week. So you were missing just over 2 cases. So, you know, you're. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of product. So let's see if we can. Get back in here. You might be everybody's favorite guy after this, if this is happening to everybody. So kids fries. So let's say the kids quesadilla, right? That automatically comes with so do me a favor today. Can you? So I'm not the Aloha guy. I'm the DL guy. But what this looks like to me is when you ring in a kids quesadilla, it prompts you for kids fries. And so you're ringing in kids quesadilla, which has fries built in, and then you're hitting fries. So you're actually ringing up 2 orders of fries, but you're only serving one. So if you want to just test this out for me when we're done and then shoot me a quick email, let me know. All right?
Okay.
And if you just do me a favor, test all the kids' items.
All right.
And then, all right, so fries we've addressed. Let's jump back in to TVA over here. All right. No, you're definitely not in Hoover. You're Pensacola. All right, so let's see here. What else do we see? So fries was one we want to look at. Queso Suave, that's not bad. I mean, it's a little high for dollars, but I mean, that's your queso. So, that might be a portioning thing. It might be a, refill thing. Bacon slab is really high, especially since you're losing thick bacon too. Usually you'll see people lose one and not the other. I would make sure that these guys aren't overcooking bacon, tossing it. Top sirloin. We'll look at that. Let me jump down to my notes. Smoked pork. How do you guys hold that on the line?
We hold it online. We hold it. We divide. We have a little small third pan with a bag in it, and we just fill it a third of the way up, and we leave the rest in the heat sealed bag. So pretty much we have enough online. Unless it's a busy Friday or Saturday night, we can make 2 or 3 portions of nachos before we run out of pork, and we just have to get another bag and put it online.
Okay. Because you're still losing a little bit there. Say, the 2 bacon losses, ribeyes. Are you guys weighing them when you count them?
Yeah, we're weighing them when we count them. Because we notice that it's never the exact weight that is labeled on the box.
When what?
I said we weigh all of our products because it's never the same weight as it says on the box. Like a ribeye will come in and say it's 10.5 pounds, but I weigh it, I get 11 or 11.5. Obviously, when I do that, I'm getting credit for the box as well. But
Okay. Okay. This right here makes me think that the cases for these 3 are probably similar looking to these 3. At least the steak Philly meat and the 6S patty. I think the 6S patty, if I remember, it comes in a brown box, and the Philly meat comes in a white box.
Other way around.
Okay. And I don't know about these up here, so maybe take a look and see if somehow we counted them backwards, or there was some of these. Because for you to be growing this much Philly meat, because that stuff's super cheap, and this many patties, and we'll jump into the IVA here in a second. Grow 6 ounce and So, tortilla chips. So I'm working on this with a few people. Your guys are probably already cooking chips. If they haven't already, or if they cook more chips today, do me a favor. Weigh 1 pack of tortilla chips, okay? 1 pack before you cook it. Let them cook it. Drain them off. Salt them. And then tell me what that whole pack weighs after it's cooked.
Okay.
And I'm just seeing a little discrepancy across the, from what the spec is to what we've got entered. If it's if if you're off, half a pound, think of how many chips you go through in a week. That'll start adding up.
Ton.
Yeah. Because it might be 2 cases that you're losing, because you're losing about 3 cases if I do my math right. So you're losing about 3 cases. It's about 18 packs. So if the weight is off by half a pound, that could be most of that. Sweet potato fries, I'm going to guess that the counter or portioning thing. Pub fries, like I said, the kids fry might impact that and cut that in half. Barbecue sauce, garlic parm, those are portioning. I'm gonna tell you portioning issues when it comes to wings, because 2 ounces is not a lot, and we have found that cooks they throw sauce in a bowl, they toss the wings. We're not scraping, and we're not measuring. Pickles. How do your pickles come out when you cut them? Is that blade pretty?
We crinkle cut them. We put the whole 5-gallon bucket back in its original bucket.
Okay.
So when we count them, we know that if the seal's been broken, we have to see how much is in it. But if the seal's not broken, we know it's a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah. So I just talked to a Chicago store, and their blade was just getting dull, and they were just simply shredding the pickles. And of course, their prep cook is back there shredding pickles and then throwing a third of them away because they just weren't usable.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so check on that. That's one of those things that just you never think about.
We actually just a month ago, we actually just got a new pickle blade because our old one had broken. So we actually went through a spell where we were ordering pre-cut pickles from Cisco.
Okay.
So for the past month, we've been back on cutting our own with a brand new blade.
Okay. All right. Well, good deal then. I don't know what a bucket of pickles costs. So I don't know how many that is. We'll jump into our IVA in a sec. Other ones, let's go to the big ones, the chicken. Chicken breast. All right. And the wings. So who do you order from? Cisco Central?
Cisco Gulf Coast.
Okay, so you and somebody jacked up your parsley. That's going to be a big one for you. That probably is an easy fix. All right. Let's talk about seafood. That's not bad. Shrimp's a little high. All right. All right, so I got all my notes. Let's jump into our IVA. All right, so your shrimp, let's see. You're only missing 7 pounds, not a lot. Your inventory looks like it's so who counts the kitchen?
Myself and my kitchen manager. We count every Monday together. Count everything.
All right. So I would challenge you guys a little to look at your inventory values from week to week, and see where your ordering is. So for you to have, 17 pounds on hand, then 50 pounds on hand, then 30 pounds on hand, it's just inconsistent. You see a lot of stores, if you step back far enough, you see that they're really consistent in what they have on hand every week. Like you got 247 pounds of bacon on 169, which you had the week before. That was bacon slab, right? Now here you go. So you grew 30 pounds of bacon. So what this says to me is Monday number 1, you had 160. Monday number 2, you had 247 pounds, right? And then Monday number 3, you had 160 pounds again. So because you're doing a little bit of this swing, you're going to get some inconsistencies. If you try and normalize a little bit your quantity on hand every Monday, I think you'll see more of a consistent number, or maybe a lower number, because you got it just seems like a good amount of product on the shelf. This is, we say sometimes, days on hand. And like here, okay, so let's look at your top sirloin. So you're only 7 pounds. That's not too bad. 7 pounds is 7.66 times 7.66 times 16 divided by 10. That's roughly 12 and a half. We'll call it 12 and a half top sirloin steaks in a week, though. In a week. So now you're missing about just over 1 a day. Right? So 1 a day. So it looks like you sell a good amount of sirloins. Are they doing recooks, overcooks? Are they ringing? Are they ringing everything? Re-ringing everything in?
They re-ring everything in. They're pretty solid on it. But I have been digging in with the kitchen, because my first thought when I saw ribeyes and sirloins being off so much, my first thought was theft. So when I started asking around, I did hear about a cook that messed up 4 steaks Sunday night. He couldn't cook a steak to save his life. Needless to say, he's not cooking steaks for me anymore. He's on a different station. But I think that might be a portion of the sirloin, because obviously I went back and checked. There were no comps to validate, but when I talked to the manager on duty, she verified, yeah, there's mistakes messed up. So I think it's inconsistency on the re-rings and comping, at least just with the sirloin. The ribeye, I have no clue, because we didn't really sell any ribeyes that night. We actually ended up running out of sirloins because of the number of recooks.
Really?
Yep.
Someone needs to get that guy a grill for his house to practice.
I want to eat one of his steaks.
Yeah. So, let's see. 14 ribeyes, 11 pounds, or 15. All right, so here's a no. I mean, your ribeyes aren't that bad. It's just the dollar value that they are. To miss 3 pounds, I mean, that's really, it's 2 mistakes. Just, maybe 2 mistakes, a little more. And because you count the box, if you're adding the box in every week, and you had 2 cases last week, it's an extra pound. And this week you only had 1 case. So that extra pound, if you had 10 pounds of steaks, but you counted 11 pounds, you should count in the box, you could trim up a pound. So you maybe had 2 steak mistakes out of 14 that were rung up. So not terrible. Could be better. 2, Your thick bacon. How do you guys hold this on the line? The cooked billionaire bacon.
The cooked billionaire bacon we put in a a small Lexan. It's bigger than a third pan. We put 10 strips brown paper, 10 strips brown paper, and we usually keep 50 strips on line per Lexan, and the remainder of the Lexan on the prep line.
Okay. All right. Are they? Do you think they ever burn tray bacon?
I've seen it. It's not as common now as it was when we first rolled the bacon out. But I mean, we still every couple of weeks I'll see somebody not set a timer and the bacon end up being burnt. We'll lose 2 or 3 trays. But it's not a common thing.
Just because I didn't see bacon stick out for you, thick bacon at least, consistently. 4 pounds isn't 13 pounds you had last week. Where's your thick bacon? Now you grew 4 pounds, so that might be a counting issue. It might be you counted and then 16 pounds you lost. So see this kind of up and down swing?
Yes.
Where 21 pounds. So let's look at your inventory in hand. And we're back about a period. To have a 20-pound difference, so you had 76 pounds on hand. You ordered another 20. You ended with 55. So if you hadn't even ordered that case, you'd still have 30 pounds of bacon on hand. I would look at trimming down our order guide a little.
Okay.
And trying to run maybe a little leaner. Let's just look what you ordered. So you ordered 2 cases the week before. So you had, okay, so if you'd ordered 1 case, your ideal usage is 20 pounds. So this still should have technically got you through, even with some loss. But you ordered 2 cases, and then you grew a whole case. Is there 20 pounds a case, right?
Yes, sir.
So I would think about that. I'd look at that with your kitchen manager, crunch a couple of numbers. If you want some help, I'll take a look at some stuff with you another day, just to give you whatever numbers I have for you usage-wise. And that might help this up and down, because you go from like a 2 to almost a 4 up and down in your theoretical. So now we'll jump to the big ones, and we'll go to poultry. $5.20. How big is the chicken breast case?
I do not remember off the top of my head.
All right, so here you go. You ready? So you got a 20-pound loss last week, 20-pound growth the week before. So notice over a whole point difference in your TVA. And then you go from a 4.72. So what's your guess? Did you grow or lose chicken breast in week 4?
My guess would be a miscount.
So you lost 20 pounds. So let's check week 3. You grew 7 pounds. So you see what I'm trying to talk about, where you got this up and down kind of swing, where you grow 1 week, you lose the next week? Now, granted, over the course of a period, just using your beginning inventory and your ending inventory, you lost a case over the course of a period. Not bad. 5 pounds a week, less than a pound a day in chicken. So 2 chicken breasts essentially a day. That's pretty good, right?
That's definitely not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So we got to step back and notice I said that the more you step back at a higher view, you get a different perspective. So losing 20 pounds of chicken over the course of a period, not bad. But when we look at your week to week, you grow 7 pounds, you lose 21. You grow 22, you lose 17. you've got this up and down fluctuation that could definitely help iron you out, because if you order less product on hand, there's less to count, less opportunities for just human error. We all try. As an operator, you got a lot to do. Trying to do inventory no matter what time you get there in the morning, to do inventory, to do production sheets, to do hot counts, to get all the things you need to get in to Dave and James, to get your shift started, to get girls lined up, to write schedules, all these things you got to do as an operator. You want to get done with inventory, and you want to make sure it's right. But there's a balance of how much time can I spend counting things when I have a business to run. So with that said, the less product you have on hand, less opportunity there is to make mistakes. So again, if you trim down some of this, you might do a little better. Let's jump back to last week. Actually, so look at your chicken breast now. So you lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks, right? So 10 pounds in 2 weeks. So just over a pound a day. So now you went from 2 chicken breasts to 3 chicken breasts. So maybe your steak guy is cooking chicken too, but that's still not bad. And to lose half a case of wings a week isn't bad. That's about 100 wings, a little over. You can send me a wing count if you want today, because I know that. Let's see who else orders from Gulf Coast. I don't think the other stores that order from Gulf Coast send me wing counts. Hoover might, and I know that's Mike Brennan at Montgomery, right? No, that's
Montgomery. Josh.
So I know Josh will send it to me sometimes. Who's in Hoover?
Jason.
So I don't talk to Jason much. I talk to Josh every once in a while, but they're not as concerned about wings. So if every Monday, I know Mike Brennan, every Monday without fail, that's part of his inventory, is as he counts, he has someone pull out 2 cases, count them, and send those numbers to me. How many wings per case? Then I update every Monday what his wing count should be. So if you make that part of your routine, you can just email IT support, and every one of those emails goes straight to my inbox. So I get every email you send to support, I get. So if you just send, please update wing counts for Cisco Gulf Coast, boom, and then that takes care of your brothers over in Hoover and Montgomery.
Boom! You'll be getting an email every Monday from Pensacola along with Mike Brennan.
All right. Like the Chicago story I did before, talking to you today. So they've got an issue with wings, but some of the other stores, they don't really care because they do a little more volume. And so he's like, no, he goes, I used to own a restaurant. He goes, I want it to be legit. He goes, I don't like looking to see, I lost a case. I lost to this, I lost to that. Your smoked wings look really good. All right, so let's find your parsley. Your cilantro is off. So what I want
they did the count of the bag. One bag is a 6 count. I can guarantee that's really not messed up.
Yep. So submit a change request for that. We can update that. You know what we forgot to check? We forgot to check the Philly. Okay, so you grew Philly meat, 6-ounce patty. So you grew 35. How many did they come in a tray?
6 to a tray.
So you grew 6 trays? That's where I would start looking at. looking at count issues. Plus you got, I mean, look how many you're selling. 60, 70 a week. Just call it 100, and you've got 200 on hand. You know, again, just trimming down that inventory. You know, even when you're doing the math, let's see. But then again, last week you guys were perfect.
Yet again, I'm not sure why we're sitting on 180 fillies and we ordered 96.
I mean, 219 a count is just a beatdown. Someone instead of counting, what is it? It's 11 tray. Is it 11 trays? No, how many trays are in there?
Let's see, there's 96 per case. 96 divided by 6.
So 16 trays. So if someone's like, oh, there's 15 or 14, or it's 4 fillies or 5 fillies. I mean, so someone just puts a wrong number in a calculator, does it in their head wrong, you lose money. But you haven't run a poor operation, so don't leave that math up to somebody else. Eliminate the opportunity for the mistakes. Why are we... Okay, we're going to have to find your parsley. Okay, so did you ever go to the cost of goods sold report?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a good way to check your... There are some things that are on the IVA. We're not going to ask you to hunt down, parsley. Okay? Did you order any last week? Okay, so how do you count the parsley? Is it by the pound?
Parsley, I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's by the bundle.
So you think it's $7.77 a bundle?
Yeah, that's more like a case.
Okay, so somebody, you see this right here? So this is your beginning inventory. So this is your inventory from last week. Somebody said you had 24.02 on hand. You think that's eaches or bundles?
It doesn't have to be, but that's bundles. There's no way. Well, even then, I don't have that many bundles.
So what they said was you had 24 bundles, and each bundle is $7. And I know parsley's not that expensive. So we're going to hunt that down. So you order from Gulf Coast Produce. Oh, shit. What's the name of your produce company?
It's Gulf Coast Produce.
I don't know why I can't find it. Would it be under another name? Oh, Gulf Coast?
Yeah.
Gulf Coast Produce, right here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right here. So one bag, how many bundles come in a bag?
3.
3? So what it's saying is 3 bundles come in one bag for $7. Now, I would double check that because if you look at some of these other places, 12 count for $12. So it's about $1 a bundle. This place downtown is getting them 6 for $3, 6 for $5, 12 for $12. So I would double check the amount you're getting per bag against the price.
Okay.
Because that if you're getting 3, that means you're paying double than everybody else. So I would say double check that. Then you need to do a change request for your beginning inventory. Because if you're getting, let's just say 6 per bag, that means you had 4 bags at $7. So you get $28. So you should get back $160 credit for a wrong count. Because right now you're missing $186 of parsley, and if you only had $24 on hand, that $160, the extra $160 shouldn't hurt you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that should have actually balanced out what we changed for cilantro because we were growing cilantro because of the discount.
So yeah, did they miscount that? So again, just having less on hand, and really, I mean, are you going to go through 4 bundles of, or are you going to go through 24 bundles of parsley in a week?
I hope not.
You know, so those are my, just looking at things today, my recommendations. I would cut down your orders this week, going into next week, try and keep those shelves as bare, without hurting your operation. Don't cut up your nose to spite your face, but trim down what you can, less counting, less opportunity for errors. And we didn't even talk about beverage. Let me just spot check you. And you're up there, but you're a killer. So that's I think your first opportunity is doing that on the shelf. That should help you. You don't really have admin errors. You don't have any. There's no somebody received something wrong. They put an invoice in a DL wrong. That's a lot of the problem. So let's see what else. You don't have. It doesn't look like you have counting issues in the bar, and I could tell that because this is your non-recipe cost, right? So for your beverage stuff, if let's say Macallan 15 year, it's in non-recipe because you didn't sell any last week. If it's not used in a recipe, meaning you don't actually hit a button in the POS to sell it, then it gets moved to non-recipe. So when you count it, it should be a 0. Like you didn't use any Chambord. And last week you counted a 0.5. This week you counted a 0.5. So it's 0 usage. Because remember, this isn't a variance. It's how much dollar value is used. Well, last week you counted a 0.7. This week you counted a 0.6. But nobody sold it. So you're off just based on your counting. So that's what some of these are. Maybe Absolute Peach was used in a shot, and the bartender's making up her own drinks. That's fine. $3 a tequila, not a big deal. The $8 Macallan, that probably says to me somebody poured a drink for somebody and it wasn't rung up or it was misrung. You actually look pretty good. There are stores with hundreds of dollars on here, hundreds of dollars. But it's counting issues. Your kegs look pretty good. Try and make sure that whenever you have empty shelves in your store, they get shipped out right away. And I say this because I know Karen got dinked a couple times. Remember, if your non-recipe is a 0, then your theoretical goes down. The higher your non-recipe is, the higher your theoretical is, and it could help you. We're probably not going to move your actual, but we can move your theoretical. Karen one week gets dinked because they picked up like 2 weeks worth of kegs. So all of a sudden she gets this huge credit, and it drives her non-recipe to a negative. So now her theoretical is like a 19 or 18, and she's like, I can't hit that. But it's because of keg deposits, and I can't do anything about that. You know, you don't have
That makes a lot of sense.
wine.
Like that.
Wine's not a big deal, and and with you being cyclical, and meaning you've got growth and loss, and you do these little, if that's the rhyme and reason and the pattern, that's fine. I think it's correctable. But what happens when you end your inventory in a down cycle where you've got a lot of loss? Now next week you're gonna have a lot of growth, but this week you had a lot of loss, and maybe you started the period with a lot of growth. So now you're farther apart, even though you should meet in the middle, and that's where you could live. But you've got this just wrong count or whatever it might be. If you get caught in a down cycle, you kick yourself. You know. So.
And that's the good too. Like with Corona Light, it says I'm growing half a keg, but I mean, obviously, we don't have a system to weigh kegs. It's pretty much, I shake the keg, see about how heavy it is, and I do either 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1, or 0.
Do you?
So I try to.
Hold on.
Eliminate the.
See all these.
So that?
So I want you to take a look at your bar TVA, and see all these growths right here. This Guinness. Do you have a bead of purple on hand? Do you have Guinness on hand? Do you have you have Stella on tap?
Yep.
Okay, because you didn't enter any counts for these.
Huh.
Well, we'll make sure you hold on. We'll bounce over to your beverage IVA in a sec. But you really don't have. I mean, this Cigar City. I bet you just counted wrong kegs.
Well, the Cigar City, we actually have to pay it under Cigar City Seasonal. So if you scroll down, you'll see that Cigar City Seasonal will match what should match with Cigar City Highlight, which I'm not seeing the seasonal on there.
Nope. And it's not your non-recipe either. So when you guys got stuff like this, you just got to send an email to support and say, hey, Nicholas, and you got to be a little direct with the words, because you just got to say, hey, this distributor, I need Cigar Seasonal added. Or can you call me so we can figure this out? I'm pretty available because I know what it's like. I spent my whole life in ops. I know what it's like to be like, fuck, I just need this right. So let's look at these down here. So Corona Light, you entered 1. Your ending inventory is 1. Oh, that's just it. So what you did was you sold so few of these. That's not a few. So you counted a full keg of Corona Light. You ended your count with a full keg of Corona Light. Plus you sold 729 ounces. It's probably 1689 minus 729. So you sold 40% of a keg. You see what I'm saying? So what I did was I just said the number of ounces in a 13.2 gallon keg. I'm assuming it's 13 gallon keg.
It's a 15.5.
That's odd that it imports 15.5. So 1984, 729. Backwards, Nicholas. So there you go. So you sold a third of a keg and still counted it as the same. Who counted kegs, you or someone else?
I do. I'm the one that shakes them and kind of get a feel for the weight, and I call it out and somebody writes it down.
Yeah, same thing here. So whoever is writing it down, maybe. Did you tell them, hey, we have 2 full kegs? Or do they just write down 2 full kegs?
Well, what I do is our keg room, it's pretty big. So, we usually keep it together. So what I'll do is I'll just start on the top shelf like it's Bud Light. And I'll be like, I got 4.5 Bud Light. And I'll go around the keg room, and if there's any miscellaneous stuff in the middle, I'll go back through and be like, hey, add one more, add two more, whatever the case if there's not enough room on the shelf.
Okay.
So it's pretty like there shouldn't be any room for writing down mistakes.
If you so just looking at these two, right? So that was 1. That was 2. Let's make ultra 3. So you see where I'm going with this. The pattern is 1 full keg, 2 full kegs, 3 full kegs, a bead of purple, 2 full kegs. So all these items you grew right down here, whoever wrote it down is just wrote down 4 full kegs, 1 full keg.
So when I call out 0.75, they're just rounding.
Yep, 1.5 for Guinness. So you received you had half a keg, you ordered a keg, and now you got 1.5. Let's check Coors Light. I mean, you really have 5 full kegs of Coors Light. None were missing out of any of them. You don't have any hooked up. You didn't sell any. You see where I think that's odd.
I do.
So all these in here, I mean, we'll just keep clicking away 1. It's just weird that they're all dead even counts, everything that you grew. 1. Yeah, I'd have a talk with whoever wrote it down.
No, that should be a simple fix. In worst case, if I just go through the clipboard and I write and I do a beer myself.
Yeah.
That's not the hardest thing in the world.
So Kona longboard. So here, dirty blonde. Just for the heck of it. Oh, actually, they wrote it down. 4.09. That's not bad. Okay, so now you got an idea. I mean, there's probably 10 beers you could. Now that's gonna hurt your beverage TVA, but it'll give you a real number. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I would take a look at that. Trim down your orders if you want. If you got any questions on usage or inventory counts, I would check your all food IVA. So look at your on hands plus what you ordered, and maybe that'll help trim down some things. And then if you want, we could talk at the end of next week. If you want to shoot me your schedule and tell me what days you open, we could see if we've seen a little difference. Maybe do a hot item count on a few things, and just make sure we don't have extra on hand.
Yeah, that'll work. I can shoot you. I'll shoot you what days work for me. When I shoot you over the email with the kids fries and whatnot. Now, I did have one question. While I'm doing my hot counts, obviously I have bacon slab and thick bacon on there. I entered on Monday. Today's Thursday. On Tuesday, I entered 51 pounds of thick bacon on my hot count.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the same amount yesterday morning. And at this point, I'm trying to show my MIT how to pay invoices, so I held the Cisco invoice back so I could show him. So no invoices that have been entered, and even though we received an order on Monday, that's why I'm using Tuesday, Wednesday as a thing. Obviously, I've sold Billionaire Bacon.
Did you
made Billionaire Bacon?
Did you post your hot item counts?
Yeah.
So it's not showing that you got it posted.
Well, we just restarted them back up. I lost the manager, and me and the other guy were working, 6.5 days a week, and hot counts fell to the wayside.
Yeah, I know.
So we
get it.
But yeah, on Tuesday 30th, I entered 51 pounds of thick bacon, and on Wednesday the 31st, I entered 51 pounds of thick bacon, and this was before I entered any invoices in, and it showed me at a loss, even though I entered the same exact number, and I know I had sold some, so I was expecting to see a growth, and it really threw me off to see a loss. I mean, bacon slab was going to 51.
Yeah.
So I have the same count in a row, even though I know I've cooked bacon, I know I sold bacon. but it showed me as a loss instead of a growth. And I said that was before any invoices were entered. I just thought that was weird.
That was my I'm thinking noise. Let me bounce that over to. I like when Don sends me emails sometimes. He goes, "This doesn't make sense." What the? Okay. Oh, Don's in. No, he's still here. Don travels a lot, so sometimes he's like, I get random messages about Omaha or, something like that. I'm like, where did this come from? And it's him traveling to stores. Okay, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. Say that again.
With a
IBA.
with bacon.
I have a call with DL on Monday. Let me do it right now. I could probably find out Monday. So I have a one-on-one call every Monday with the director of ops for Decision Logic. Hot item, IDA, Pensacola, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Same count. Held invoice.
Now I haven't checked it since I paid the invoice yesterday, so I'm not sure what it's gonna look like now. But yeah, like I said, before I paid the invoice, it was weird. The same number 2 days in a row. I mean, and unless my logic's wrong, I was expecting a growth, not a loss.
Yeah, it's like the issues like this, like that are one-off, or you're the only one who's got an issue. I like this to take notes and walk through with Decision Logic, my one-on-one with them, where we can find the what the actual issue is. There we go. We can find what the actual issue is, and they'll walk through and say, okay, well, let's troubleshoot this. Let's see where the problem lies. So, well, I can get that ironed out for you. Give me a couple days. But it's in my notes to talk to you Monday. So, all right, I'm going to bounce. You got anything, give me a shout. Send me those emails. Let Dave know you and I chatted and what your plan is. And if you need any, if you want me to once over, then give me a shout. And we'll talk the end of next week.
We'll do.
All right, bye.
Do you want me to the wing count over to you as well with the try and whatnot issue?
Yep, that sounds good.
All right, cool.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later, Charles.
All right, thanks, sir.
Bye.